Welcome back to Definitely Not Definitive. I'm Ken.
And I'm Bethany.
And we're just a fantastic couple in love that loves reacting to some Fallout.
Yes, we do.
So this is Fallout Storyteller. This is season 4, episodes 11 and 12. So cats and mole rats and big iron on her hip. Okay.
All right.
So if you want all of our Fallout Storyteller reactions, check out the description of this video for a playlist, as well as a link to Patreon. Get early ad-free access to our Fallout reactions, as well as all the other reactions we check out here on Definitely Not Definitive Games.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you ready?
No.
Ah, I forgot. It's been so long since I've forgotten.
It has been. I have Bucky and he's asleep on one arm, so Ken's going to demonstrate our drink.
Stimpack Spritzer.
Stimpack Spritzer, because it has a stim pack. I'm doing mine off camera.
Cheers.
Cheers, bud.
Children, listen up. We have a guest today who is going to tell us stories about the Commonwealth.
Yay! Really? Whoa! Power armor! Wow!
Your teacher tells me you're interested in learning about the world outside your vault.
So now he's coming for like show and
I
tell?
wasn't expecting to teach a class today.
Or bring your dad to work today?
We're stopping by Vault 81 for a totally different reason. Thanks, Pete. See you again in 6 weeks.
Sure thing, buddy. Come back anytime. That guy never took off his helmet.
So how'd you get his
I didn't
haircut?
prepare a lesson plan or
What did you
anything.
trim?
My kids would love to hear about anything you've done out in the Commonwealth.
I suppose I could tell you kids a thing or two about this wild wasteland. You all have lived your entire lives down here in the safety of your vault. The outside world is a diverse place. Super mutants, ghouls, talking brains in jars. Yup, I've seen it all. Oh, and who's this?
His name's Ashes. He's Aaron's cat.
Ashes?
Oh, well, hello there, Ashes. Before the Great War of 2077, cats could be found everywhere. When humans were in need of companionship, the domesticated cat offered it in spades. I have a companion of my own, you know. Her name's Edna. Edna, come say hello to the kids.
I think Edna's okay with cats.
Cool. An iBot.
Edna here is my little helper. She's good in a fight, too, and helps me catalog everything I discover out in the wasteland. Edna, begin recording. If you look around our wasteland today, it might be easy to assume that dogs were the most popular pets in pre-war America, but that couldn't be farther from the truth. The domesticated feline outnumbered their canine counterparts. Abraham Lincoln kept cats at the White House, and evidence suggests that cats were domesticated 2,000 years before Egypt's pharaohs. You can actually tell a lot about a civilization by the pets they keep. When human populations are nomadic, dogs are of better use. The wasteland wanderer is more likely to have a dog as an animal friend than a cat.
That makes sense.
Since one is clearly better at holding predators at bay. This is possibly the reason why dogs were domesticated long before cats ever were. However, once human populations began to settle down, sow seeds and store crops, mice became the new threat. You vault dwellers could be considered today's modern settlers, tilling the earth and storing crops as an agricultural tribe. Cats are therefore a more sensible pet for you to keep. They're highly effective as a means of pest control.
Big stretch.
Because their light frames and agile bodies make them excellent small game hunters. And tiny rodents know it's in their best interest to stay the hell away.
That rat seems very
Had
dirty.
nature been allowed to run its
All rats are
course,
dirty.
Cats would still be feared by rats even today.
Yeah, but he like a black
But
cloud following
man-made
him.
nuclear fallout and radiation had a different plan in mind.
Rat toots.
I was wondering,
For the
like,
past
see farting?
200 years, rodents have been mutating at an astonishing rate.
Ooh.
Where before they were mere
I was
pests,
gonna come
now they
chase you.
pose a serious threat to travelers. Small rodents still exist, but many are bigger than cats now, and the larger ones are as big as dogs.
R-O-U-S-S.
Sometimes larger.
Ew. That sounds scary.
Upstairs, you have a 4-foot-thick vault door shielding you from the outside world, so I wouldn't really worry about it.
Yeah, there are a lot worse things than
mutated
the
rats aren't all
R-U-S-S.
bad. Some wastelanders have been able to tame them. Out west, they even hold mole rat competitions. People raise them for food or keep them as pets. I distinctly recall a mining settlement that kept one as a pet. Snuffles, I think they named her. I've heard rumors that Vault Tech kept mole rats too. Knowing them, they were probably running some kind of mad experiment on the poor critters. Probably just a rumor though. Cats were experimented on too. Scientists at Mariposa threw them into vats of forced evolutionary virus, along with humans, dogs, and other mammals. These cruel experiments led to the creation of centaurs, horrifying mutants that can be found staggering around other parts of the wasteland.
Did you ever fight a Deathclaw?
Sure have. One time I killed a Deathclaw with a single blast from my trusty laser rifle.
Whoa!
If you think that's impressive, you should have met this ranger I once traveled with. Could shoot a bloatfly from 1,000 yards with that old Sequoia.
Ha.
But that didn't help us when we got trapped in Vault 108 with a bunch of murderous clones.
Yeah.
One of my friends got shot in the back, and...
Nothing with excessive violence.
Right. Sorry.
Someday, I'm gonna check out the Commonwealth.
If you do, be sure to bring one of these suits of power armor with you. It's mighty dangerous on the other side of that metal door. That being said, the wasteland is a big place. It's a damn shame that most people don't get to see it all. I like to think of the world as one big book filled with stories, and those who don't travel are only reading one page. But you kids are young, and you can be explorers right here in Vault 81. Learn about everything you can, and when you can't learn anymore, move on and look someplace else. Every day can be a journey, and you, the adventurer. But that is a story for another day.
One thing that I think I just never really considered was the evolution of domesticating animals and how...
Yeah.
I mean, we know that dogs have been domesticated for a very, very long time, but it didn't occur to me that the domestication of cats kind of coincided with people settling down, with us becoming farmers rather than hunters and gatherers, with us building cities rather than being nomads. I just don't think I ever really put any thought into it or asked the question. That was interesting to hear. And how, you know, when you are a nomad, predators, potentially the threat is bigger, therefore dogs make more sense. But when you are farming, obviously pest control is the biggest threat. So cats are useful. Of course, dogs as a species have evolved considerably as well and range. I think the book I was reading recently, which was all about how dogs love us, and it was about a scientist running a MRI experiment on a dog to see how their brains work and basically like what lights up in their brain when they're interacting with us or treats or certain commands, that whole thing. Anyway, they do love us, by the way. But it was interesting sort of like to hear how the dog species is the most diverse species in the world in terms of how they range in size, how certain breeds and all are very much geared towards certain behavioral patterns because that's how they've developed. And so, yeah, dogs once upon a time when we were like domesticating them from wolves made sense for nomads. But now, you know, we have terriers who are incredible pest control dogs, you know, and arguably could be as good as cats potentially. I mean, I haven't done the study. I don't know. Cat people out there, don't hate me for saying this, but it's just interesting how, you know, dogs have evolved in many ways to suit humans' needs. And so we have bred them to be smaller, bred them for certain purposes like pest control versus agility versus water sports versus, I mean, like a whole range of things.
Some years ago, out New California way, our storyteller found himself on a trail he'd walked many times before.
This guy sounds like Sam Elliott.
I was just thinking he sounds familiar.
A thing or two about this wild wasteland of ours. It was then that he ran into the one they call Ranger Helen Tanner. You see, this ranger was looking for someone, a nasty feller, who was hightailing it to the Commonwealth.
So we'll get some answers.
She was poised to bring him into justice, and she needed our storyteller to do it. So they traveled together, and somewhere along the way, you could say they became friends. In their quest to capture the outlaw, they met other wastelanders, and soon had a posse of their very own. This man they were chasing was no ordinary brigand. He was a 10-man of sorts. cyborg created by the new California Republic using the DNA of some long-dead hero. His kin weren't what made him bad, though. In his mad quest for power, he clocked a body count so high it'd make a Deathclaw blush. You can understand why our gang didn't fare so well when they finally cornered him. Our storyteller was knocked unconscious.
Daisy betrayed him.
Woke. The ranger was gone, and another of his posse lay dead. Years went by, and the storyteller searched the Commonwealth for any sign of his old friend the ranger, but he turned up nothing. That was until a Diamond City private investigator uncovered a lead that pointed to Nuka World.
Like Nuka-Cola?
Mm-hmm.
An amusement park based on a soda.
Yeah.
Okay.
Looks like the little 7-Up guy.
Welcome to Cappy's Cafe, stranger. What'll you have?
What do you got?
We only got 3 things here. Chems, liquor, and Nuka-Cola.
Too bad. I got me a hankering for Sunset Sarsaparilla.
We don't care for your kind around here, stranger. How about you wander up to Maine and get yourself a bottle of Vim?
I suppose you Nuka folk are what they call brand loyal. But this place isn't just about Nuka-Cola, you know. Sure, when folk think of Nuka World, the first thing that comes to mind is rivers of glowing blue soda and animatronic pop bottles walking
What's the head?
around.
I'm like, looks like a floating head there,
This
but
theme park was so popular
It is.
that the Nuka-Cola Company built
The head on a
several
hook.
other attractions nearby. Galaxy Zone was what people in the back when times thought the future would look like. They were off a bit about how things turned out, though.
Ain't that the truth?
And when folks weren't thinking about the future, sometimes they'd get to thinking about the past. They wanted to get a taste of the old pioneer
West.
days, so they built themselves a dude ranch on the western frontier of Nuka Town, USA. Called the place Dry Rock Gulch. Tin Horns could go there to rope mechanical horses, flirt with animatronic saloon gals, and draw iron against a pokey robot deputy. That was all just a show for the tourists. There weren't any real gunfights in Dry Rock Gulch until the gunfight at Buttercup Corral.
Buttercup Corral.
One evening, 200 years after the Great War, a ranger came to town. She was a genuine daughter of the West, and this dude ranch feared her. Cardboard townsfolk closed up their shutters. The plastic tumbleweeds scurried out of her path. Even the bloodworms were afraid to crawl out of their holes because they saw this ranger carried the big iron.
nice.
None of the robot cowboys in Dry Rock Gulch had the grit to ask why she was there, but if they had, she would have said,
I'm to kill the man that done me wrong.
Now, the man who done her wrong wasn't exactly a man. He was a tin man of sorts. His body was a machine forged by blacksmiths out in California. His brain was cooked up in a pot of snake oil by a team of quacks in white coats. Legends say that his metal veins had a single drop of blood from a long-dead hero running through them. But if that's true, this rotten apple fell far from the tree. He was the meanest son of a gun to ever walk the land. He could strangle a Yao Guai with his bare hands. Night Stalkers died when they bit him. He once killed the entire town of St. Louis single-handedly. He didn't come to Dry Rock Gulch alone, though. He had used a bit of that hero's blood to brew up a posse of his own. They all looked just like him, were just as mean, but all they could say was their own name. Vault Dweller. This here Tin Man and his gang of homunculi had killed one of the ranger's friends, turned her dog against her, and dragged her away to a far-off land.
The dog was always against
The
her.
ranger somehow got away from them, out in the wilds of the glowing sea. Before she left, she grabbed 2 things.
The big iron?
Yup.
And the other thing?
Now, friends, I don't know much about this world, but I can tell you this. A girl loves her dog. Now, this ranger's dog was just a dog brain in a jar, But with her pooch and her shooting iron, she gave the cyborg the slip. Took her years to recover, but she eventually tracked down the Tin Man and his gang again. Learned they had come to Nuka World and not to visit the gift shop. Right in the middle of Dry Rock Gulch was a place called Buttercup Corral,
So she escaped
where the metal ponies spent their days. It was there that the ranger caught up with that posse of clones. The Tin Man himself was nowhere in sight, but the ranger was happy to throw down with his lookalikes. It was over in a second, and the ponies gathered round. There before them lay the bodies of the dwellers on the ground. Oh, they might have went on living, but they made one fatal slip when they tried to beat that ranger with the big iron on her hip.
So, what happened then? Did the ranger just catch this guy? The cyborg?
Nope, but she ran into an old friend, and they went looking for the cyborg together. Nuka World's a big place. The ranger and her friend didn't know where to start, so her friend went into a raider bar and lathered the local desperados until someone spilled the beans.
He'd be pretty stupid to come here alone looking for a fight. We'd have him outnumbered 7-1.
Oh!
He ain't stupid, and he ain't alone. That's what storytellers call a paradigm shift.
Most of those Sequoia revolvers only hold 5 cartridges, but Tanner's gun was customized to hold 6. That's why I think of it as
The big iron.
A man in a blue Vault-Tec jumpsuit with the number 13 on his back. Where is he?
There's no one here like that. Any when tough guys show up and Overboss Coulter makes him fight in the gauntlet.
Maybe he's in disguise. A new guy in one of the gangs that keeps a low profile. Might talk funny. California accent like mine.
Yeah, there's a new guy with the operators. He says pop instead of soda. He says words all funny like he can't pronounce bumper cars in Safari.
Safari. That's where he's going.
Let's mosey.
Wait, I gotta know. How'd you get away, the cyborg? You gave him the slip in the glowing sea, and why's your dog just a brain in a jar?
Now that is a story for another...
Are you still saying that after all these years? You really haven't changed a bit, huh?
I was about to say the same to you.
Raider scum. You want to tell me why the hell someone doesn't come to Nuka World and just kill every damned one of these bastards?
Like you just
Want to
said?
tell me what happened in the glowing sea?
Yeah.
Want to tell me what happened to Edna?
That is,
What? What the hell does she mean you want to tell me what happened to Edna?
Yeah. We didn't gloss over it, but a little bit. I mean, so she escaped and they redeemed Daisy, I guess, by saying that Daisy helped her escape. A little confused on all this. I love the episode, though, the setup and everything like that with the Western and it's like the narrator's voice in the beginning. And like the little brief recap that they gave. So I had been wondering, I mean, like we're 12 episodes in, I'm like, are they gonna ever get back to that storyline? So finally, thankfully they are. And yeah, now we get to see her without, we get to see Helen without her helmet too.
I'm thrilled Helen is back.
Yeah.
And I liked this episode. I just wish we had actually seen a little bit of what transpired instead of getting like...
Show, don't tell.
That's just it. Like in the world of Hollywood, you're often told if you want to be a creator, like to show something rather than tell it. If you can show it, it'll be more powerful, more impactful. Your audience will also feel a little bit smarter and therefore more willing to suspend their disbelief than if you just talk at them. And while I liked the episode, the fact that we didn't get to see some of this did make me feel a little bit talked at because Helen being captured was so pivotal to the end of last season. So like her escape would equally then be pivotal. And I feel a little bit cheated that I didn't get to witness it. I'll confess, I didn't get the sense that Daisy helped her.
Okay.
I got the sense that she wanted to take the dog with her. It was like how they made it sound. But then I'm also not clear that she actually did. It almost sounded like Helen was forgiving her because Helen loves dogs, was kind of like what I walked away with. And I'm like, okay, it's not the dog's fault. The dog just has a bad person. I don't know. I need to see somebody get it. I need to see like some kind of vindication moment, and just killing everybody in this bar did not satisfy that need. So I'm glad Helen's back. I'm excited to see what comes next. I just wish that it hadn't quite been so glossed over what had happened.
Yeah, it felt like, I mean, so season 4, coming from season 3, it was kind of like, okay, you're kind of stopped doing the whole storyteller telling like us about the lore of Fallout, and like now we're going into like more of a story itself. And maybe with Fallout 4 coming out, they wanted to go back to, you know, more of the lore aspect of it, but they already kind of had that story going. So they should have like just kept with it. And then maybe the storyteller didn't need to be the one always saying like the recap of what had happened in the lore. Like, you know, we could have checked in on Helen, like, you know, kidnapped and whatever, and she could be telling the Vault Dweller about, you know, the different lore of different places. And she, you know, she can, you know, make a joke about how she missed the storytellers and, you know, blabbering on all the time, and they got used to his chatter. And so maybe that's why she's just trying to fill the air right now.
Like if she was that like rogue character in the corner of a bar sitting there with like her Nuka-Cola, and she's all in shadows, and then here comes the storyteller into this environment and he's trying to find out about her, and then like she becomes the voice from the corner of like, so it's you again. Like, I don't know, something like that. But that would have been kind of fun, because then we'd see a little bit of like, we would be feeling the story through the storyteller's point of view, which was like, whoa, Helen, you're here. Like, how are you here? What happened? Like, tell me everything. So that would have been a way where it would have been like bringing us into the moment instead of telling us in hindsight about it.
Oh, I wasn't even talking about this episode, though. That's a great idea. I was talking about more just about like the season itself. They could have like, you know, in various episodes had her maybe tell some stories or whatever. Like, you know, while she's with the clone or whatever, the android. And, you know, we could have checked in more on that and had that story have a little bit more follow through. Because it was like, we had it, and then it wasn't really, like, he briefly mentioned it and he was going to different places, but like it really didn't come up again until this episode. So anyways, though, I'm looking forward to seeing how this develops and the story going forward. And yeah, interesting characters in that Nuka-Cola world. One of them looked like they had like a chicken mask, almost looked like he was like out of like Hotline Miami or something. And then the guy behind the bar reminded me of like, he was like, I don't know, kind of like a Cobra Kai in the first Karate Kid.
Yeah, I can see that. I was curious about that too. I'm like, why are they all in costumes?
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I get the Vault people being all in their uniforms, because I don't know, you just get that sort of military impression about them, and how like this was the clothing that they were provided with, and they have to like keep it immaculate and fold it every night and like all that stuff. Like you get that sense of them. But if you're out in the wild west of this world,
yeah, but they're in an amusement park, and maybe that's why they're in costume, because of it's an amusement park, and like they have people in costumes there. I don't know. Sure.
I don't know. I also feel like masks are just hot. So whenever I see someone voluntarily wearing a mask all the time, I kind of think, why?
Let us know what you thought about this down below in the comments. And if you want early ad-free access to our Fallout reactions, check out the description of this video. We got a link to Patreon there. You can get early ad-free access to all of our reactions here on Definitely Not Definitive Games that way. Thanks so much for checking out our reaction for the Storyteller Fallout series. This is season 4, episodes 11 and 12, which keep in mind
that our reaction is definitely not definitive.